So, we are here with...
Joseph Aviel from Clearwater Beach, Florida.
So, I've got a couple questions for you. Why do you want to be an actor? What drove you to being an actor?
You know, being in interesting places in the world and having to interact with sometimes large groups of people, many times medium groups of people, a lot of different groups in Sarajevo and Albania, places like that, bus stations, refugee camps. I had to become almost an actor. I had to speak their language. I had to sense their trials, kind of enter and empathize with them. So coming from Florida, from Clearwater Beach, into a refugee camp in Sarajevo with people who had just lost everything and everybody, it takes a kind of transferring from your position in life into theirs. So that was almost like a preparation. But when I came home from all that and retired, I was invited to do a movie by a producer who became a very close friend. And I thought, I've had such an interesting life. Why don't I try this? And wound up in Hollywood, meeting Arnold and Hugh Jackman and Anthony Hopkins and all these guys. Became friends with Shirley MacLaine and asked her about her life. And so acting became almost like an adventure, a furthering of my adventure that I've already had in my life. So.
All right, great. Why do you want to work with Westerfield Studios?
I'd like to work with Westerfield Studios because they are nice guys. That's it. Really nice guys. I like to work with good people and people that communicate well, are trustworthy, and so far, they seem to be those people.
That's awesome. Would you like to work in film, live theater, or both? Do you have any opinions on that?
As far as film or live theater, I would love to do live theater. Most of my career was on a stage, presenting stories and music, but it wasn't for the sake of acting. I was a missionary, so I've been performing on stage, so to speak, my whole life.
So the World Theater.
Yeah, sometimes in the middle of a communist block of flats, standing on a guitar case, gathering hundreds of people. So stage would be fun, but so far my only experience in acting is film and television.
Great.
My greatest strengths and weaknesses. My greatest strengths, my family, my wife, my children, my friends, experience, upbringing, most central, my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. Without him, I don't see much purpose for much of anything. Weaknesses, maybe speaking my mind too much on a set in Manhattan. But that's another story.
I like that.
Long term, I would like to have a position in acting or in the film industry, preferably on a series or a series of films that could provide for my family well enough that I could bring them along with me and they can experience the film experience as well. Like take my daughters on a set, bring my sons on a set, bring my wife on location to Spain and do a Western. That's because we've done so much in our lives. We've been all over the place and done so many things. That would be new and that'd be exciting.
Awesome. Where did you hear about Omnilingual?
I heard about Omnilingual through Robert Westerfield, and that was at a Sunscreen
Film Festival.
At the Sunscreen Film Festival in St. Petersburg, where I also met Vic and met Tony and a whole bunch of other people. But Robert presented himself there as one of the people that was speaking to the panel of people that pitch films and people that produce films, and Robert presented himself so well. I thought, and we had met a little bit prior to this, but after that presentation, I thought, he's got organization. And in this business, especially in Florida, someone with organization and experience is a gold mine. So when he offered my friend Corey and I to be part of this, and also seeing who else was involved, like Jesse Cove and Vic and some other local people, I was like, yeah, let's do this.
Cool.
My acting training was in Los Angeles. I did the Bernard Hiller masterclass and many, many months, almost a year, I suppose, of weekly classes with Bernard Hiller. We had Hollywood directors come in, Hollywood casting directors. Several of the people in my class have become well-known actors that at the time were bouncers or waitresses. April Webster would come into class. So I did that class in Hollywood, and then also in St. Petersburg, I trained with Andy Matheny and Eugenie Bondurant.
And Eugenie is in this film.
Yeah, Eugenie was a great teacher, and Andy, with my son John. And so as far as professional training, Bernard and Andy and Eugenie. Probably the most favorite productions I've been in, Beverly Hills Cop 4. Mostly because of the friendships that I made on that film and the effect that those friendships had. I met Judge Reinhold, James Preston Rogers, Kevin Bacon, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, all these people, but the big names were not the primary reason why it's the most favorite. It was the crew, the stunt people. We all got along so well. So aside from the movie, how it does, it really was a great time for me.
I like this one. Do you have any formal dance training?
The most formal dance training I have is watching my wife dance, and that's not your business.
What do you think makes a role challenging?
Makes a role challenging. The most challenge I've had for any role was not having enough time to prepare. I did one film. I was asked by Sony and Tribeca to be a lead in a film at the Vasquez Rocks. And I loved the director, I loved the writer, they were all phenomenal people. But when I got on set, I asked the director, is this improv, this movie? And he said, you didn't get a script? They'd never given me a script. So I had to have the script by campfire light. Read a line, deliver a line, read a line. So I'd say the most challenging thing is not having the time to develop the character and spend time with the character. And when I've had time to do that, it's been awesome. That movie turned out okay, but I really couldn't find who that guy was. I just had to play
it off the page.
Play myself, There was another film I did where I had time to get into it, and I had a person in mind to become, and that was the most fun I've ever had in a film. As far as actors I look up to, most of them are dead, the ones I look up to. Current actors, I would say, are the ones that keep balance in their personal life. They seem to me. Like, I worked with Hugh Jackman. He was pleasant. He was a hard worker. He was not cocky. I like Hugh Jackman. I like Henry Cavill because I think he's a great actor. He's physically in shape. I worked with Arnold. He's great. I don't see him as a morally great person, but I wouldn't want to emulate his personal life, but his energy is very attractive, and his discipline.
What techniques do you have or use to develop your characters?
As far as developing techniques for my characters, I would say things I learned from the masterclass in California was to take the script and the character, create, and this isn't for every character, but if I have time, to create a backstory, to create subtext for this person, like they teach you in acting schools, like the Actors Studio and things like that, to really create this character, to find an archetype. But I like to mix acting methods together. I don't just hold to one form of creating. So a little bit of like the Lee Strasberg, a little bit of Chekhov, like making it somewhat imaginative and somewhat physical, like giving the character a physical attribute that that personifies his personality. Like I played a really evil cop, true story, who got murdered in LA. I created the backstory for him off of a real person that I knew, my cousin Anthony. So I grabbed Anthony off the shelf and developed him. And that was probably the most accurate portrayal of any character I ever did. Because I knew his story. I knew his parents were divorced. He was raised by his grandmother. He was involved in drugs. He got murdered and cast into a river, tied back to back with another guy. So I just became Anthony. And when the director sat next to me at the final scene, he said, "It's so nice to work with an actor who can act." And I thought, I'm really not trained, but I know Anthony.
Excellent.
So for Omnilingual, what I like about this story is there's some personal reason that the main character wants to find out what this text, how this text reads. There's some kind of impulse, some kind of redemptive reason why it's driving her to translate this text. So there's purpose behind it. It's not just curiosity. And I'm interested to see what that is.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, and we will see you on set.
Thank you.